Hey guys, it's Lauren. How are you doing? Hope you're having a good day. Today is March the 22nd, 2024, and I want to talk about something that women have to go through. We women on the autism spectrum have a different set of challenges, and it's something that every woman has to go through every month. It's called your period. I've always had issues with my moods on my period, or right before I started it. I was 11 years old when I started my period, and when I started my period, not only did I have a worsening of my mood swings, I also had severe pain in the abdomen. I had been educated about my period, and I thought that I was ready for it, and based on what I read in the books that my mom got me and what my mom told me, I thought it was something that I could deal with, but when it hit, I was wrong. I came home from school one evening in March of 1993, and I had excruciating pain in my lower abdomen, and it hurt all evening. Mom gave me a Tylenol. That did little to alleviate the pain, and it hurt me all night. I was up all night, literally couldn't move. Pain was so severe that nobody could touch my abdomen, not even my mom, who's a nurse, to try to examine me to pinpoint where the pain is and what the problem could be. So she ends up taking off work the next day because she was worried that she was going to have to take me to the doctor to get checked for potential appendicitis or kidney stone. That is what ran through both of our minds, and it never crossed Mom's mind that it could be menstrual issues, because my mom has never had menstrual issues. From then on, I had heavy periods, and when I say heavy, they were excruciatingly heavy. They would come twice a month, always on the same time every month. In the fall of 1993, I had a bone scan done of my hip to look for a problem in my hip that they were looking for. And on that particular bone scan, it showed I had a moderate sized cyst on my left ovary. I went to the doctor to get it checked out a few days later, and the doctor thought that it was nothing to be concerned about. He just thought it was one of them cysts that would probably go away. Fast forward years later, my heavy periods and mood swings and stems associated with my periods were still there. And every time that we would always travel when I was younger, I was always on my period. And any time that I was on my period when I was younger, it was really difficult to wear tampons because they were really uncomfortable on me, and I always had trouble keeping pads in the right place, which caused me to always make a mess with my period. And I later learned that one of the best things that worked for me when I had period was to wear an adult diaper. And there is ways that you can make an adult diaper less visible in your pants. As I continued into my teen years, my heavy periods and mood swings continued. And when I would have my periods, I would get really moody, and all of my stimming would be worse, and I cried and cried and cried a lot worse than what I normally did. And I would be angry, and I would be biting on stuff always and wringing my hands constantly. In 2001, my family doctor and my mom wanted me to take a type of birth control pill to control my heavy periods and my emotional control issues associated with the Asperger's syndrome. I did take it, but it was only palliative, meaning that it only worked for a little while, and then after a year of being on it, it stopped working, and all of my heavy periods started and my mood swings started back. In 2004, I visited my gynecologist for a different reason than my periods. For 4 years, we had tried different therapies, and she had been considering me having a laparoscopic surgery done for 4 years. Finally, in 2009, I had a laparoscopic surgery done, and during that surgery, they found stage 4 endometriosis. Endometriosis is a problem of a woman's female parts where the tissue of the lining of the uterus grows in other parts of the belly, and it can cause pain and infertility. And the doctor that did my surgery told me that the amount of endometriosis that they find when you have surgery to look for it has nothing to do with your symptoms. See, some women can have horrible pain and they can't find hardly anything except maybe just like a little dusting of endometriosis, and then other women have it everywhere and hardly have any symptoms, which is weird. When I found out that I had endometriosis, they wanted to put me on this stuff called lupron, and you take it every month, and what it does is it shuts down your hormones. It's supposed to treat endometriosis. It's one of the premier FDA-approved medications to treat endometriosis. I didn't take it for about a year later. And almost a year after I had my first surgery, I was put on lupron by my gynecologist. And the week that I was put on lupron, it was finals week at school. And I was stressed out and I was having belly pain and nausea, and I didn't think nothing of it, and I thought it was either stress from school, a virus, or side effects from the medication, or my endometriosis. It didn't occur to me that it was appendicitis. The pain continued, and a few days after having the pain, I rode to work with my mom, who is a nurse at one of our local hospitals, and they ran tests on me, blood work, and a female ultrasound, and a CAT scan of my appendix. And not only did they find multiple cysts on both ovaries at the time, they also found that I had appendicitis and it almost ruptured. And when they took me to surgery that night for appendicitis, it was much worse than what they thought. And I stayed in the hospital like 3 or 4 nights with appendicitis, and if I would have gone in just like immediately when the pain started, I would have just had to go in to spend 1 night, and I had a JP drain attached to my belly. The night and the week that I had my appendicitis, the side effects of the lupron kicked in, and they were horrible, and I would not recommend anybody taking that treatment. It gave me some of the worst side effects of medicine that I ever had, in addition to the typical side effects that it would normally give a woman that takes it. And I went home. I recovered from the appendicitis surgery, and the symptoms of endometriosis and the mood swings continued. In 2017, I had a hysterectomy done by an endometriosis expert surgeon. He specializes in doing a procedure called excision. I researched it on my own, and I researched him on my own, and I found him through a group on Facebook for women with endometriosis. It's called Nancy's Nook. I'll try to leave a description for it below. This group has all kinds of information on endometriosis, and even all kinds of doctors, and my doctor was on that list. And thank the Lord he took my insurance, because I have read that a lot of women that have had excision surgery done, that their insurance did not cover it. And after about 3 to 4 years of researching, I finally came across this doctor. And when I went in to see him, he recommended that I have a hysterectomy done with excision, and I was so beyond thankful, and I couldn't wait to book the surgery, and we booked it. And yes, I was nervous the morning of the surgery. When they took me back to surgery, I was back there for 6 hours. It didn't feel like it, but it was. And when I was in surgery, they found something that no one else found. And because of that, I'm beyond grateful that I found this doctor and decided to have surgery under him. He found that I had a potential bowel obstruction forming. So in addition to the hysterectomy for my stage 4 endometriosis, he had a lot of repairs to do on my bowel because the endometriosis was on my bowel and it was contorting it up and knocking it out of place, and that could have potentially led to a bowel obstruction had I not seen that doctor. Everything in that surgery was done completely laparoscopically. However, he did leave one ovary. And when did I find out that they found that issue with my bowel? My mom told me about it when I woke up from surgery and they wheeled me back to my room. And I heard her on the phone talking to my aunt about what they found in surgery and how guilty she was that she didn't do this sooner, and that she was beyond thankful that I made the decision to see this particular doctor and have this procedure done. I'm a research-minded person, and I do credit a lot of that to the autism. So when I went back for my follow-up from my hysterectomy, the doctor also gave me my pathology report from surgery, and not only did I have one of the worst cases of endometriosis that he had ever seen in his 30-plus year career of being an endometriosis specialty surgeon, they also found that I had a cyst in my right tube, and that I also had another condition of the uterus called adenomyosis, which totally explained my extremely heavy periods from day one, in addition to the typical endo symptoms. And that gave me the impression that I was not meant to have children if I get married. And I'm okay with that, because I've later learned that your health is the most important thing. Let's talk about the mood swings associated with the periods and the autism. They're a nightmare to deal with. The stems and all the horrible emotional control symptoms associated with autism are a lot worse when you're PMSing or on your period. Because I still have one ovary left, yes, I still get the mood swings, but my mom thinks that they are not as bad since I had the hysterectomy done. There's a lot that I could say about this. So if you are a woman on the spectrum, or if you have a daughter on the spectrum, I think it's a good idea to keep track of your menstrual cycles, because that way you can predict one thing that can potentially cause or trigger meltdowns. And there's other options that you can do if you are a woman on the autism spectrum or have a daughter on the autism spectrum that has concerns about your period. And because of this, I want to offer a disclaimer. Remember, I'm just a patient, just like you guys are. I'm not a medical provider. And if you have any questions, I would strongly advise you ask a healthcare provider. And always check with your insurance company too before you pursue any medical treatment to make sure that it's covered. And try not to choose anything that's outside of your network. So actually, I think it is quite more challenging for women on the autism spectrum, because we have to deal with periods. Men don't. And one time when I was 14, my mom thought I was regressing because I was having a lot of emotional control issues. But looking back, I think that it was my period that caused it. So, and also guys, another reason that I thought I would make this video is because March is Endometriosis Awareness Month. If you do decide to see an excision specialist, excision is more likely to provide long-term relief for endometriosis than traditional surgery does. And my doctor that did my hysterectomy does not agree with using lupron for his patients. So make sure that you hit that like and subscribe button. And if you have any comments, you're more than welcome to comment, and make sure that you don't leave anything negative, because if you leave anything negative, and I'm sorry to say that it's gonna be blocked. Alright, thank you. Please be safe and have a great day. Bye.